Hey folks, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to The Human Show. My name is Trish, and I am a mom, a certified adult chair life coach, and an evolving human like you. And my intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by helping to expand the emotional intelligence of as many people as possible. I am here to hold space and share wisdom in support of your personal evolution. I know the path can sometimes be dark, so let's carry a light for each other and find our way. Here we go. Hey folks, thanks for being here. I wanted to chat about grief today because it has been showing up pretty frequently around me lately. And it got me thinking about when we lost our dog a couple years ago. And it was quite an experience because this was the first time our kids had lost someone close to them. What happened when they were in school, I dropped everybody off at school in the morning and then I headed out to do my own thing. And shortly after that, I got a call from my partner, and she was kind of panicked and distraught and said I needed to come home. So I came home, and there was our dog lying in the foyer, and Lori was cleaning up around her on the floor and crying. And then I started crying. And I remember pretty soon I said, we need to get the kids. Because what I was thinking was if we take care of this and then they come home from school and we just say, oh, hey, Cheyenne died, and they didn't get to say goodbye to her, that just sounded unsettling to me to not have that closure. So I wanted them to be able to say goodbye. So we decided, since we wanted to have our dog cremated, so we were going to take her to the vet. So we decided to get her into the car and then go get the kids. Now, trying to get this dog to our car was an adventure, I guess you could say. So we both have, let's say, sensitive backs, and we needed to lift a 90-pound Doberman and carry her from our house to the car. We decided to put a board under her, but the only board we could find was this one that I think it used to be a table. It was like, it had slats in it. And we were worried that, carrying her that distance from the house to the car, that it might break, and that would have been horrible. So we didn't want to lift it. So we decided to put this dolly under it. I think it's called a dolly. I don't know. It's a little square wooden frame with wheels on the bottom. So we shimmy that under the board, and it's short. So now, the board's only a few inches off the ground. And now we have to wheel this thing out the front door, down the walkway to the driveway to the car. So, it's only a few inches off the ground. So we're hunched over, pushing this thing. If any neighbors saw this happening, I imagine it was quite a sight. Anyway, we got her to the van. We were able to lift her into it. And then Lori wanted to stay back there with her. So she laid in the back with her. We put the third row seats down and we headed off to pick up kids. So we have kids in middle school and elementary school. So we went to middle school first, signed out our oldest. And when she came to the office, she was like, why am I leaving? And I said, I'll tell you outside. So we got outside and I said, Cheyenne died and we wanted you to be able to say goodbye. And she was kind of like, it didn't register, and then I opened the door to the van and she saw Lori and our dog and just started sobbing. She climbed in the back with them. Okay, Then we head to elementary school. Uh, Same thing. I go to the office, sign them out. They come out. Why are we leaving? I said, let's go outside. And said the same thing. Cheyenne died. We wanted you to be able to say goodbye. They were like, what? Open the van, and they immediately start crying. And then they climb back there too. So now we're going to head to the vet. But I thought, you know what? Do you guys want to stop home and grab something to send with her? We told them that she was going to be cremated, and thought it might be nice if they were able to give her something. So went back home. I walked in with the kids. They all ran in different directions. And it was kind of cool because it was like they already knew what they were going to get. So one of them ran out back and got Cheyenne's favorite ball. Another one went to get her favorite treats. Our oldest went to a couple different spots, and she went upstairs, and she was up there for a while. Like, the other kids were back in the van. She was up there for a while. And I didn't want to rush her, but I was kind of like, okay, we want to get this show on the road here. So I yelled up, hey, how's it going? She was like, I'm not ready yet. So finally she comes down, and she had written a letter to Cheyenne, which was so sweet. I didn't get to read it. I didn't ask her. But anyway, then she went and grabbed her favorite snack and her siblings' favorite snacks and put them in a bag, and we headed out. So got to the vet. A couple vet techs came out to carry Cheyenne in. Thank goodness, because I don't think I could have transported this 90-pound weight again. So anyway, the vet was great. Even though they were busy and they don't have a lot of space, they were gracious enough to give us a room for like 15 minutes. They put Shy in this room, and so we could all hang out with her a bit and say our goodbyes. And, it was terribly sad and moving. The kids all said their goodbyes. They left their offerings with her, and it was really special. And then, one by one, they headed back out to the car. And then, of course, Lori and I had to sign the paperwork for the hefty expense to have our dog cremated. And then they asked if we wanted to have a cement, like, stepping stone with Shy's paw print in it, if we wanted to buy that. And we looked at each other and we're like, no, thank you. And afterwards, I was just like, I thought that seemed so weird. Like, I was picturing them taking my dead dog's paw and putting it in this wet cement. And then, I don't know, it seemed weird. Like, it would be different to do when your dog is alive and you're doing it as something fun, and you all put your handprints and her paw prints in a stepping stone. Like, that sounds fun. But to imagine doing it with my dead dog, I don't know, it seemed weird to me. Anyway, we opted out. So then we headed home, and I just sat on the couch with them, and they cried, and then one of them would walk away and go play. One of them would go outside, and then they would come back and they would cry, and then they would go do something, and then they would come back. And it was kind of like this all day, like these waves of activity. Our one daughter said at one point, like, she was just so upset and crying, and she said, I would trade my life for hers. And I was thinking, the hell you would. But what I said was, she knew how much you loved her. And, I think this is really important to point out, because when people are in grief, they might say some things that sound kind of crazy. And it's just part of the process. It's part of the process of moving through your emotions, letting things out. And someone in grief may say something that sounds crazy to us, but it's just their way of processing what they're feeling. So I kind of just did that all day. I just sat and just was there for them. I was just there, and I just allowed anything that was coming up, anything that they were saying, and I was just there. And it was really sad. It was also really beautiful to witness this process of them moving through these emotions and talking about how much they are going to miss her and the things they'll miss doing with her. And it was just, it was really cool. And it's just wild how grief is so complex. Often we only think about the sadness part of it, you know? We think about the pain. I mean, when someone says grief, often like that's the first idea that comes to you, right? Is pain and sadness. And the fact is, grief is so much more than that. It is very complex and it is waves. There is sadness, there is pain. There's also joy and feeling happy, thinking about the memories you have and thinking about how much you got to share with this loved one. And that's love. If you think about it, I mean, the heart of grief is really love. And that makes it really beautiful. Hey folks, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to quickly share some news. I have created a small group coaching adventure to help women who are navigating divorce and breakup. There will be 8 weekly live calls with me. It's going to be transformative, and I am super excited. Doors are opening soon, so check the show notes for info. Okay, back to the show. Like I said, grief has been showing up around me. So last week, I attended a funeral for a friend from high school, which was like so surreal because she's my age and no, she's not here anymore. It was really surreal. And through that experience, I was able to connect with some other old friends that I hadn't talked to in decades. And that was amazing. And I was really grateful for that. So that's just one of the things with grief. It's appreciating all of it, appreciating the pain and the sadness, but also appreciating the beauty and the gratitude and the connections. A few days ago, I attended a memorial for a 4-year-old child. That was really hard, really hard, especially because I'm a parent. So it was it was hard. There was definitely a lot of pain and sadness to witness there. Also, it was so beautiful to see how many people showed up. Neighbors and friends and family and teachers, like, people from her school, showed up to share memories about her and, connect with each other. And it was amazing and moving. And nearby, there's this intersection I pass on my way to the office, and there's a memorial set up there. I'm sure you've seen things like this on the side of a road somewhere, where someone has died and loved ones create this little memorial. And there's decorations and flowers and sometimes pictures and signs and all different things. So there's one that I pass on the way to the office, like I said, at this intersection. And in the past couple weeks, I've seen people gathered there, like 2 or 3 people at a time. And it's the first time I've ever seen people at one of these memorials. And I remember when I drove by and I saw them standing there, kind of looking at all of the items, and I just felt so moved. And because this, like I'm saying, like I recognized this pain, but also I thought, wow, this is so beautiful that these people are coming together to honor this person they love. And it was just, it was really wild. Because, like I said, this is the first time I've ever seen someone at one of these memorials. I've seen these in different places throughout the years, sometimes on the side of a highway, but this is the first time I saw people gathering, and it was really moving. Oh, before I forget,
who said that? 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 Who said that?
how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Whew, I'm getting I'm getting teary-eyed just saying it. That quote is actually from Winnie the Pooh. So I guess technically it's a quote from A. Milne, who wrote Winnie the Pooh. But anyway, just so simple and so relatable, you know? Because if you think about grief, like I said, grief is love at its core. So when you're in grief, it means that you love this person, this animal, this whatever, so much that it's so hard to say goodbye. And that's the beauty, is that love. And I just wanted to, you know, point that out, bring it to your attention, just because I think it's often overlooked when we talk about grief. Because, like I said, often the first thing that comes to mind is the pain and the sadness. And when we witness someone in grief, it can be really hard for us because it's uncomfortable to see someone in pain, right? So, what I invite you to do, if someone you care about is in grief, to just allow. Like I said, they might say some things that sound crazy to you. The best thing you can do if you want to support them is to just be there. You don't need to give advice. You don't need to tell them everything's going to be okay. Because for them, that's kind of bullshit. It's not going to be okay because they just lost someone very important to them. So the best thing you can do is just listen and allow. Allow for whatever is coming up for them. It doesn't have to make sense to you. Their feelings, their process does not have to make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone but them. So if someone you care about is in grief and you want to support them, please just hold space. And holding space means, support without judgment. So just be there without opinions, without judgment, without telling them, you'll get over it and time heals all wounds. Like, I think that's kind of a bullshit statement anyway. Time heals all wounds. Like, um, I guess it heals them, but the thing is, the pain doesn't go away. If you think about a wound, it may heal, but there's a scar, and that scar is there forever. So, it's important to remember that when it comes to grief. Grief doesn't leave you. Grief is always with you. It just changes. It changes shape. It changes form. It changes the way that it shows up. Like I said, it's waves. I mean, like everything in life. Grief is waves, you know? You may have some really amazing, happy days, and I hope that you do. And then there will be moments when you fall apart thinking about someone you lost, right? That's grief. It's all okay. Grief is very complex and fascinating. But the important thing is, don't be afraid of it. Just honor it. That's the best thing you can do for yourself if you are in grief, and it's the best thing you can do for someone you care about. You don't have to be afraid of grief. Just honor it. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up there for today. And As always, you are enough, just as you are, and you are loved. Make a great day. Hey, before you go, if you enjoy The Human Show, you can help me spread the word by sharing it and leaving a review. Thank you.